Loading up still.
Good evening, councillors, staff and members of the public joining us online. Welcome to ordinary meeting number 4556 of Hunters Hill Council. I open the meeting at 6 p.m. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of all land and water of Hunters Hill. Council pays respect to elders past, present and emerging. Now I invite Robin Harvey to deliver the prayer and I'll ask everyone to be upstanding.
I invite those of you who pray to join me, but if you do not share my tradition and faith, just respectfully pause and reflect on all that is spoken. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for gathering us here today. We ask for your wisdom to guide the discussions of our councillors and for open minds to hear one another. Please bless the decisions that are made, that they may be just and serve the best interests of our community here at Hunters Hill. Help our councillors to be diligent, collaborative, and to act with kindness and integrity in all that they do. May their time here be productive and result in positive outcomes for all of our neighbours in this community. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Robin. Please be seated. I should mention that the proceedings of all council meetings in open session, including all debate and addresses by the public, are recorded and webcast live on council's website for the purpose of facilitating community access. Webcast archives are stored and available to the public on council's website. The recordings may be disclosed under the provisions of the Government Information Public Access Act 2009. Members of the public attending a council meeting may have their image, voice and personal information, including name and address, recorded, publicly broadcast and archived, or as an observer or other interested party, members of the public consent to use of their image, voice and personal information. Now we have one apology of note, the Mayor, hence my seat today. The Mayor is travelling interstate and is unfortunately unable to make it to the meeting this evening. Do we have any other apologies? No. Can I get a mover for this motion?
Move that it be accepted.
Move that be accepted. Thank you, Councillor Tanous-Sleeman, and a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Williams. Any declarations of interest, councillors? No. Do I have to move that also?
No, that's what I just noted that.
We'll just note that. Thank you. And a confirmation of the previous meeting minutes. Can I get a mover of those? Thank you, Councillor Tanous-Sleeman, and a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Kassab.
And I just have one alteration to advise Council of Deputy Mayor that the item in relation to the annual budget, and I haven't got the number in front of me, Councillor Williams, I'm not sure if you can.
Item 8.2, quarterly budget review statement.
No, this is the last meeting.
Oh, right.
I'll make sure that's inserted into the meeting. But that Councillor Williams voted against that motion, was still carried, and just that needs to be fixed up in the minutes. We'll get that ordered.
Okay.
Going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, GM. We will move.
Just ask a question.
Yes, sure, Councillor.
Has the minutes now been made available to the community? Because last time I checked, they went up the general manager.
I don't believe so.
GM.
I don't believe they would have been if they had that on. No.
So
I'll go up tonight.
Right. And the hiccup we had this time with the business paper not being up until Friday night, that's...
Yeah, we get that.
In relation to the new system that we've introduced, can I be indulged just to ask a further question in relation to that? I noted that during the training session that I had, that there was going to be quite a significant change in the face that was presented to the community and the opportunity for the community to search and do a whole lot of things. When is that going to be uploaded onto the website?
Now should be starting to be operational now.
Okay.
But I'll give you an update tomorrow
Yeah,
on,
thank
on
you.
all of that.
Thank you, General Manager. Thank you, Councillor Williams. Moving on to council reports. We will start with item 8.1, submission to Department of Health Infrastructure regarding pathways to community living initiative, including a proposal at Henley. I note that we have one speaker to this motion who's not in attendance.
It's just a written submission.
Can I read it out?
You can, or I can, whichever you prefer.
Yeah, I can read it out. So this comes from Reverend Michael Armstrong, and it's entitled Submission to Department of Health Infrastructure regarding pathways, etc. Dear Council, I would ask that my letter be tabled as part of the consideration of this report, while understanding the desire for the former Gladesville Hospital mental hospital to have comprehensive master plan. I do not believe the report offered should be supported by Council other than on those grounds. There is significant need for mental health services across New South Wales, and especially in this part of Sydney. The people who may be housed in this service are likely people who have lived in this area or currently are. They are likely people we know and love. I am most aware of people in this program who would love to live near the area they have grown up in and know. This report makes assumptions and statements that reflect a lack of understanding of the PCLI program and especially supported community living. While it may not be intentional, it also reflects stereotypes and fears about people with mental health, particularly Section 3. Section 3 and 4 should be deleted, and Council should instead seek to further consult with the New South Wales Health and to gain a further and more comprehensive understanding of supported living and the PCLI. I would suggest that the final conclusion adopted might instead read, in summary, Hunters Hill Council supports the Pathways to Community Living initiative in principle and its role in improving mental health outcomes, does not support the proposed Henley site progressing in isolation without comprehensive master planning of the wider Gladesville Hospital precinct, and seeks clarification and further understanding from New South Wales Health regarding land use, compatibility, accessibility, connectivity, and the site's ability to support successful long-term transition to community living. Council seeks continued engagement with New South Wales Health, health infrastructure and relevant state agencies to ensure that A, the objectives of the PCL are achieved, and B, development outcomes are strategically planned, place-based and aligned with the best practice planning principles. I thank Council for your time in reading my submission and pray that Council would modify its report to take the opportunity to seek further clarity, advice and understanding regarding this significant and important program and the opportunities it would bring to our community. Sincerely, Reverend Armstrong, Rector, Anglican Parish of Hunters Hill. I will put the motion
Oh, I'm happy to move it.
in the report.
I'll move it forward.
Moved by Councillor Williams, thank you, and a seconder, Councillor Vergara, thank you.
So that's the recommendation in the report?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Are there any speakers for the motion? Thank you, Councillor Lane.
I had a question just in relation to some of the detail of the report. So I can understand, I believe, a bit
Sorry,
of...
Councillor Lane, who's your question directed to?
Through the General Manager to the authors of the report. I note Reverend Armstrong sort of raises some concern about the implications, I guess, that childcare centres and youth are incompatible. But I also noted that it talks about poor public transport connectivity as well. And given that this is the 500X route, which is probably the best bus service that we have in our local area, I was just wondering whether in preparing that we needed to go into that level of detail. And I suppose to the degree that, you know, things like poor public transport connectivity may be problematic if we're also talking about then relying on that same public transport for development just up the road. So in that respect, I think, you know, do the details of 3 and 4 materially add to the main recommendation? And if not, do you think they could be removed to address that?
I think that should stay in council.
Director?
I'll pass the director, but I signed off the report and I think that should stay.
It's a combination of factors, so it's not just necessarily those 2 points, it's the accumulation of all the different factors. We totally support mental health and support in the community. It's just finding the right position, the right place, and the right outcomes for that sort of service. So we just wanted to work with the Department of Health on getting better opportunity, rather than, it's not necessarily saying no, it's just that we would like to work with them to see if there's alternative sites.
Yeah, and look, I as I said, I support the general tenor. I think it's the wrong site. It is isolated from all of those other services listed. It's just the listing of proximity to childcare and youth skate park as being incompatible, and then the one bullet point in relation to public transport connectivity. But if the general manager is happy with it as it is, I don't have any more questions.
Thank you, Councillor Lane. Any further speakers? For or against? I'll now put the motion. All those in favour? All those against? That is carried. We have, although since we don't have a person in physical attendance, we might just keep going.
Yeah.
So we'll move on to item 8.2, which is the quarterly budget review statement. Can I have a mover of this motion? Thank you, Councillor Turnouth-Sleeman, and a seconder. Councillor Vergara, thank you. I'll open the item for discussion. Any speakers for the motion? Against?
Well,
Councillor Williams.
they're probably questions rather than against.
Sure.
The reference there that sale of land remnant land was not achieved, and so therefore that was the consequence of some of the increased deficit. I was just wondering what land that was, and if it, what land was you referring to there? To you,
GM.
Madam Mayor.
Yeah, through you, Deputy Mayor, that I was of the feeling at the start of the year that we'd get Vernon Street back up and through the system, but we haven't been able to. So that was where I was looking for the funding to come from, the revenue to come from.
The council resolved not to proceed with that.
With that sale at that price, yes. But we're still proceeding through a process, and we're going to bring it back with alternatives of how to dispose of it. But we haven't made it to haven't been able to achieve that by the end of this financial year.
That's not my reading of the motion in the resolution of council. But anyway, we can argue that at a later date. I get confused. Well, I don't get confused, but I find the presentation here a little bit. You've got red the deficit and black the positive outcomes, but some of the blacks are actually negatives. So I was wondering, is there an opportunity there to rethink the way it's presented?
From Community Services Director.
Mr. Chair, we can look at the way that the financials are presented. We're being consistent with the old G templates that they provided from July last year, where we now have to report quarterly, but we can, for the report purposes, we can make it a bit more.
Yeah, but where the black's negative, then maybe a negative sign would be useful.
Traditionally, black would be a surplus or an
That's right.
improvement. So if there's anything that refers to that's black that refers to a reduction, then we would have to correct that. That should be definitely red with a negative.
Okay, I might help you with that. The last dot point at the top of page 10, it refers to a report by the responsible accounting officer. And it's fairly specific as to what's required there. And if you go across to where that report is provided somewhere, I did tag it here. Yep, on page 20. It just says council's financial position was satisfactory. But if you look at the report and at the tables, we're running a deficit, and there's an obligation on that officer to provide solutions, but there's no, to me, it doesn't meet the requirement of that dot point. So maybe staff could, Mr. General Manager, you might have a look at that, because I don't think it fulfills the requirement there. Thank you.
Disagree, but I think I'll have another look at it.
Thanks, councillor Williams. Any further speakers for this item? For or against? No. I might just add, I think it's great to see some good capex on things that are improving the suburb significantly. I'll direct any listeners or members of the community to the items, particularly on pages 24 and 25 of the attachment to the report, and 26 for that matter. There's lots happening in the suburb, including, minor refurbishments to things such as the Woolwich Baths and the playground renewals program at Gladesville Reserve. And I think that these are valid things for council to be spending its money on. So a deficit, but nonetheless beneficial for the community at this stage.
Can I ask another
would-
question before you finalise? Based on
Yes, councillor Williams.
page 25, we have at the top capital expenditure, library detailed design. I haven't seen a business case for that yet. So how are we jumping to detailed design without council?
That's why it's been deferred.
Yeah, I think it says delayed to future year.
Need to do that work before we do the detailed design. So
Oh,
that'll
okay.
come to you before.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
But to be clear, GM, is that an estimated value for that capex?
That's for the detailed design.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if there's no further speakers, I'll put the motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? That is carried unanimously. Moving on to item 8.3, which is the investments report as at 30 April 2026. Can I get a mover? Councillor Williams, seconder Councillor Tanus-Lehmann. Any discussion on this paper? For or against? I will put the motion. All those in favour? Against? That is carried unanimously. Moving on to item 8.4, which is the annual report of the Chair of the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee for 2024-25. Can I have a mover for this motion, please? Thanks, Councillor Williams. Seconded, Councillor Tanus-Lehmann. Any discussion?
I've got
Councillor
a
Williams.
question, if I may. In this document, there's reference, oh no, that's the next item, the asset attestation to the audit thing. But I was just wondering, it would be really useful for council to have the chair of this committee, because none of us have ever met that person. We have the external auditor come and present their report. It would be nice to have the chair of this committee, which is quite crucial for the way council operates, and council is assessed in the way it operates, particularly at the staff level and its policies. It would be nice to have that person come along and actually present the report and be able to be interacting with council about it. Just an observation.
Thanks, Councillor Williams. Any further discussion? Okay, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to item 8.5, General Manager's attestation per regulation 216T. Can I have a mover for this motion? Councillor Kasab, and a seconder, Councillor Tanus-Lehmann. Any discussion for or against? Okay, I'll put the motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Those against? That's carried unanimously. Item 8.6, minutes of the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee. Can I get a mover for this motion? Councillor Tanus-Lehmann, and a seconder, Councillor Kasab. Any discussion, councillors? No. Oh, Councillor Williams.
Yes, Madam Deputy Mayor. I was just wondering why we've received a series of minutes all at once rather than as they happen we get council meetings.
The director.
That's a bit of oversight. We should have been sending them up after each meeting.
All right, thank you.
Apologies.
Thank you, but we're still compliant, to be clear, Jam? Yeah.
The meeting's being held, Mr. Making.
Cool. Moving on to item 8.7, revised agent. Oh, sorry, I'll put the motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
That's carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 8.7, revised agency information guide. Can I have a mover for this motion? Thanks, councillor Tanus Lehman, and a seconder. Councillor Kassab, thank you. Any discussion?
Couple of questions, if I may, on the first page. The purpose. Is there typos there? It's sort of the first line, the end of it says in.
I think that's missing some.
And then we've got Mation rather than Mation got, anyway.
We can have that.
That
fixed.
paragraph needs to be
Yeah.
resolved.
Maybe, Jade, is that meant to say, information guide? I think it's just dropped off the first sentence and it's in the last sentence.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It just needs tidying up.
Yeah. We'll have that fixed up for the minutes. Yeah.
The only other point that I've got, there seems to be a bit of inconsistency in terms of page 8, the role of the mayor. All the other roles, it's about the position, not the individual. So I was just wondering the relevance of the first 2 paragraphs in there. No other part of the report has personal details.
I think
Page 8 at the top, under the role of the mayor, it sort of says details about the current mayor, but the report should be neutral. It should be about the role of the mayor. Anyway, I would suggest you need to delete those first 2 paragraphs.
Have a look, see what we've done in the past, councillors. I'm not.
Thanks, councillor Williams. Any further discussion? No. I'll put the motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? That's carried unanimously. Moving on to item 8.8, we have an address for this item. Again, from Reverend Michael Armstrong. I will read it out. Item 8.8, electric vehicle charging infrastructure. I would ask that my letter be tabled as part of the consideration of this report. I was unfortunately on leave when submissions for this program were initially sought, and I understand that there was some concern amongst our neighbours. However, I wish to write to offer my full support for this program and for a charging station near the Ferry Street end of Ambrose Street. My only concern would be that the timing for the charge station recommended in section 3 is during the day for 4 hours and for 8 hours during the night. I believe that this should be halved, in brackets, 2 hours during the day and 4 hours overnight, close bracket, to ensure that the charges may be utilised by more people, noting that charge times are reducing. 2 hours is plenty of time to utilise one of the neighbouring facilities or attend church. Sincerely, Reverend Michael Armstrong, Rector, Anglican Parish of Hunters Hill. Is there a mover for this motion, councillors? Councillor Denise Lehman, thank you. And a seconder? Councillor Lane, thank you. The Lane Tanus Lehman merger of 2026. Any discussion, councillors?
Madam President.
Councillor Vergara, sure. On the fly?
Yes. It's to recommendation number 2. It's approve the installation of public EV charging stations.
Maybe just hold for 1 second. Are we ready?
Okay.
Great, yeah, 4. Sorry, 3 and 6. 4, I think, right.
Several, so then you can add in if you want.
Okay, go ahead. Councillor Vergara.
approve the installation of public EV charging stations at, and then delete the locations 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6 identified in this report. I don't support 3 Ambrose Street, and I can give reasons. Can you give the reasons?
So to be clear, councillor Vergara, you're proposing to support the installation of all locations except for 3.
Yes. But when this went out on the public consultation that's referred to, as I understand what happened, the public consultation was withdrawn because it was defective. General manager conceded that we went out without any indication of what the charging stations look like. And as I understood it, we were going to redo the consultation with appropriate information to residents about what these charging stations would look like, timeframes, etc. That never happened. And I know the Reverend's right, there is significant opposition to this proposed e-charging station in Ambrose Street. And I think it would be very poor of council to proceed when the residents who opposed in the first consultation, which was admittedly defective, are now not given the opportunity to be reconsulted with the defects corrected. I mean, it might be that they're all happy knowing that it's a small little power thing and not a big thing, but we just don't know that. So I'm not prepared to support it.
Thanks, councillor Vergara. Councillor Cheney-Sleyman.
I'm in agreement with councillor Vergara, except I would also add proposed site at 6-4 Manning Road, Hunters Hill. My feedback that I've the consultations with local residents, it's not a compatible site, number of reasons. It's a very fast flow road with cars that come up and down, being a major thoroughfare to Victoria Road. And also where it's strategically located, it's a block of units which people mostly use public transport. So I'm in support of the motion, but with the objection to site 6.
Are you proposing an amendment to the motion which is on the floor?
In addition to removing site 3, I propose to move site 6 as well.
So you'd put the and before the 5 and delete the and 6.
Are you in favour of that, councillor
I am.
Vergara? Did you move the motion?
No.
You've proposed the amendment. So the amendment reads, no rush, Sarah.
Perfect.
That's it.
So the recommendation is that council, 1, approve the participation of Hunters Hill Council in the grant-funded EV charging infrastructure program. 2, approve the installation of public EV charging stations at locations 1, 2, 4, and 5 identified in this report. And 3, authorise the general manager under delegated authority to execute any agreements to enable the project to proceed subject to grant funding conditions. Is the seconder,
Councillor Lane.
councillor Lane, happy with these amendments? No.
No, I'm not.
Okay. Would you like to foreshadow a motion? Okay, councillor Vergara foreshadows this as a motion in the event that the motion in the business paper fails.
Withdraw your motion.
I'll withdraw my motion.
Otherwise, we're just going to get a bit of a circular
Yeah.
argument here.
Why?
Well, Councillor Cheney-Sleyman's already indicated she accepts those. So I assume she'll vote against the motion now, and then we'll go to a foreshadow. It's up to council how they want to deal with it, but just ease of structure. If it's withdrawn and a new motion's put up with those exactly like that, then we vote on it and go for
Oh, because councillor Cheney-Sleyman moved the original motion. Okay.
So do that.
I'm happy to be.
Okay. So the foreshadowed motion is
You need to have the permission of the seconder as well.
Councillor Lane.
That's right.
So I don't agree with the councillor. Once the motion, the move of the motion is withdrawn, there's nothing to second.
Councillor Preston, Madam Interim Mayor, you'll recall that you tried to withdraw your seconding of a motion a few council meetings ago and were unable to because the mayor overruled you. I think it would be inconsistent to.
Let me-
Seconding that's being withdrawn, it's the motion.
Sorry, so there's a motion on the floor, which is
Was Councillor Sleeman and Councillor Lane, which was the
But then-
recommendation with the deletion of
yes.
number.
No, because
Right.
Councillor Sleeman only, she moved the original motion and then in relation to the foreshadowed motion, she proposed an amendment. So I still see there to be a motion to be moved, which is the motion in the business paper. And then Councillor Vergara has proposed a foreshadowed motion in the event that the motion in the business paper fails. So we can deal with that if that event arises. So I will put the motion in the business paper unless there's any further discussion.
Yeah, just
Councillor Williams.
a question in light of what might happen in foreshadowed motion.
Mhm.
There seems to be a problem with the way council is presented to the public in number 3. Is that consistent across the other locations? Has council also done the same process there that Councillor Vergara has mentioned was not transparent and not actually delivering the information the community needed?
I'll defer to the director and maybe just a little bit of colour if you might have any, Sally, on.
So I wasn't aware of the consultation issues from last year. So I think what's put forward is that was probably consistent across if that was the case. So this is still the feedback that was given at that time. There's no issues really in changing the number of locations that we go out. However, the funding does cease to exist as of June, at the end of June. So if we don't take up the options now, these charge points won't go in, and we could go back to the community and seek different type of grant funding if we wanted to, if that was council.
And all of the community consultation which occurred in July 2025, that was all undertaken concurrently, right? Across all sites.
As I understand.
That's correct, yeah. And the feedback was there was I think a lot of people thought they were getting like an NRMA big substation charging station in the street, not these little ones attached to the poles. And that's where, and rightly so, there was the feedback was correct. Well, they weren't that style wasn't appropriate. This was done before I really started here as well. So, yeah, we in hindsight we would have gone out with a photo of what was actually going on the poles, but we didn't do that. And we've just been trying to clean it up since then.
Just to be clear, they are the small black chargers that attach to existing power poles, so they'll tap into the existing electricity. And then there's no real other infrastructure other than you have to bring your own cord and connect it in. There'll be two spaces, one's designated for EV and one's not. So it's just first in, best dressed, but with some parking restrictions just to keep.
And I think it's relatively clear from the report that all sites have support bar site 3 and according to anecdotal evidence from the community site 6. So as long as we're comfortable, sorry,
Just as a clarification, the text for site 1 indicates it wasn't consulted on, so we can't say if there's a level of support.
True.
It's council managed land.
Yeah. General Manager, maybe just a quick question to you then before I put the motion. Are we comfortable that the community was correctly consulted in relation to this report?
I'm comfortable with the 4 locations that you've chosen. The community would be supportive of those, given the feedback we got at the time. Did we send out these little boxes and show them what we're doing? The answer is no, but these are low-key locations that really tick the boxes and really should be implemented as soon as possible.
Sorry, just to clarify, if it's the original motion, it's the 6 locations. Are you comfortable with the 6 locations?
Yeah, I am personally,
Yeah.
but
Great.
yeah, but I'll go with councils where the council takes me.
And GM, the reason that we're comfortable with the proceeding with the EV charging stations at site 1 is because it's a council managed site, and that's one of council's objectives. Is that how we perceive that?
Well, it doesn't have a major impact on the street, and the issues of people around there. It is our site.
Because it's in the car park.
It's in the car park,
Mhm.
yeah.
Look us up.
Can I just ask a quick question?
Mhm.
With the two sites, the dedicated and the non-dedicated, are they the same parking restrictions for both sites?
I'll defer to the director.
Probably the nuances to be decided on all of those, but I think if you were there charging, it would be the same. Yes, okay.
But just further to that, and I was wondering this from reading the commentary, is there going to be a specific reference on the sign that you have to be charging to use those bays?
No, only in the EV, so there'll be one dedicated EV and there will be a sign saying you can only park if you're charging.
But otherwise, it's just the 2 and 4
That's
P.
right.
Sorry, 4 and 8 P.
Yeah, that's
Thank
right.
you.
Okay, so back to the original motion, which is motion in the business paper. That's the one. Yeah. I'll put this motion. So all those in favour?
I think. Well, do we not get to speak on the motion?
Again? Oh, I guess we didn't really speak on this motion. Okay. Any discussion?
You raised it, amendment.
Yeah. Okay. So any discussion on the motion in the business paper? Councillor Lane.
I'd like to speak in support of the original motion. I believe we started with over a dozen charging stations. Actually, I could ask the general manager, do you recall the original number that we started with?
I'd be over a dozen, pretty sure. Yeah, it's a lot.
And slowly but surely they've been whittled down to 6. For example, one of the reasons why we started this is that there was a discussion, if we all recall, that while a lot of people have access to off-street charging if they live in a house, for example, if they live in a block of units, they don't have that advantage, which is why on-street parking is so essential. We've gone and we've done the consultation. I agree that the consultation could have been better. I don't think it was formally defective. If it was, we wouldn't be able to proceed at all. And we consult all the time without pictures. We went out on a number of properties in August 2025 that we're looking at, and there were no maps or other diagrams for those properties either. So that doesn't render the consultation ineffective, but I would like to draw the attention of the councillors to the what I believe are verbatim quotes, where under the column that says support, objection, comment. And so we have in 6, for example, this is an excellent location for public EV charging, as there is good housing density around, which opens up better opportunities for more people to utilise a convenient location. And to the extent that there are objections in 3 to a larger box, I think that the fact that we are putting in less addresses those. So we don't need to reconsult to say this is going to be lower impact. We could, and I think we could go through a motion of another consultation, although I've already heard from the director that we would lose our funding if we delayed it any further. And so I think while I was originally inclined to say if the concern was 3, can we reconsult? Now, having heard from the director that we effectively wouldn't be able to deliver it, it would behoove us to make sure that there was a minimum amount of EV charging in our area for people that don't have access to off-street. particularly in that location, given that that was the subject of the supporting submission from Reverend Armstrong in order to be used outside the church. Effectively, in this case, as in all of them, we've got a council report before us that has considered all of the submissions and given us a recommendation. And I think that while we may disagree with some of those elements, adding our own gloss over where it's been supported and they haven't raised any objections, therefore saying that somehow that's objectionable, seems to have gone beyond merely checking that staff have done their job and provided us with enough evidence, and we seem to be rewriting what the community wants. And I think that that's a bit of a dangerous way of approaching public consultation. So I'm particularly supportive of 3 because it has this letter of support as being particularly needed outside the church, and of 6 because it satisfies all of the key criteria that you would want for an EV charging. And so I recommend that council passes it as proposed by the staff. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Lane. Any further discussion for, against? Against, councillor Tanuslim.
But just a couple of key points. I do take on board what councillor Lane has made comment. But I want to, the point about the feedback and this commentary, this is an excellent location for site 6. For public EV charging, as there is good housing density. There is no good housing density. We're talking about a housing commission block. There's only housing density in that area, so I don't know where that's being validated. So yes, I'll take on board consultation, but this has been taken out of context.
So could you just clarify why that's not density?
Councillor Lane, do you have a question?
Yes, I just would like, could the councillor
Councillor Tanuslim, sorry, did you finish your address?
Yes, I have finished my address, but I just wanted to ensure that the context of this statement that's provided when councillor Lane makes comments that we're not respecting the consultation process. You've got one comment in there, and I don't think that the context of that comment is made in relevance of full consultation feedback. Now, I've spoken to residents on Manning Road, and again, they're not in support of it, including 4 residents who live at the Housing Commission block that don't have an EV and don't have the need for an EV use. They do have a number of vehicles, but not a PV purpose.
Thank you, councillor Tanuslim. Any further discussion? Councillor Lane, do you have a question?
I have a question of the councillor and then a question of the director. So the question of the councillor is, you said that because there was a medium density housing commission, that somehow wasn't housing density. I'm just trying to understand why housing commission doesn't count.
It does count. I just said it doesn't. It's the impression of getting high density. You've only got one block of.
It doesn't say high density. It says good housing density.
What good housing? What's the definition of good housing density?
Medium or high density.
Yeah, but what is it? So what is it? Are we talking a whole range of
attached dwellings?
Yeah, but a whole range of them.
Okay, I withdraw the question. It was the link that you made to Housing Commission that I found objectionable, not so much the question around density.
Councillors, can we direct all comments
regarding density
through the chair?
Sorry.
Please.
My second question was to the director.
Through the chair.
Through the GM, I think, if it's to a director. But yes, through you. I note that on 3 it says while not fully supported, whereas 6 just says support. Did we receive objections on 6, and do we know the number and relative weight of those objections? Because it looks like it was just supported.
Director.
So I personally don't know. I would have to take that on notice to.
But perhaps if I can assist the director, if it says support as opposed to while not fully supported, would that indicate that it isn't?
That there would be support, yes, for this. This is one sentence that's been taken verbatim from that consultation.
Thank you.
Yes, sorry.
Thank you, councillor Lane. Councillor Vergara.
Question for you, Chair. My recollection is that the feedback for site 3 was overwhelmingly in opposition. Is that right? Probably to the
Director. Or general
I
manager.
can answer that. It was based on, I think, the information that we provided to people.
And then
Thank you, general manager.
I'll speak against the
Councillor Vergara.
motion
Okay.
in its current form, because site 3, at least the consultation wasn't just about the size of the box. It was the main thing, but it was also about the space that it would take up. It wasn't about the parking restrictions. That site is opposite a retirement village that has like 2 spots for 20 units, more than that. So that street is continually used by elderly people who are vulnerable. They park their cars there at night. They don't know what restrictions. You're going to have a 4-hour restriction. They've got to go out and move their car every 4 hours. Or the space is overnight empty on a street that provides parking for elderly residents. So I think the consultation isn't just about the box. It's about the space that will be taken up, and it's about the parking restrictions. That needs to be redone for the residents who opposed Ambrose Street. And it's not only the defective nature of the consultation, it was the representation made by council that we would reconsult on number 1, Ambrose, and we haven't. So I cannot support it. And rightfully, any councillor that believes in transparency and community engagement cannot either.
Thank you, Councillor Vergara. Councillor Chinnis-Lehmann, do you have a question?
So we don't have validation, obviously, or we don't understand the quantum of the feedback we received for site number 6 at this stage. Unlike Councillor Lane, I have spoken to residents on Manning Road, and again, as a conflict, I live around the corner in Richmond Crescent, so I do know all our residents on Manning Road. What I would say though, if you look further down on Manning Road and Tarban Creek, you've got 8 spots allocated, and you could consider a spot further down on Manning Road, which again could be a possible site. If that's the site we're still looking at. I don't have an issue with the volume. I'm in support of as many locations. I just think these have been an issue. It's been raised to me directly. But again, if there can be a counter site, then I would recommend further down, closer up to Solder Road, just after Tarban Creek, where you've got obviously 8 or 9 spaces allocated there, which would be a potential option. So
question to the director about the feasibility of.
Yeah, and I'm also mindful through to the director. We don't want to delay the funding. We know we've got access to this, so. I don't know what the possibilities are in terms of being able to say, look, we've got another site, it is further down, and then taking that back to feedback. But we don't want to delay the funding. So if we accept the 4 out of the 6 now and it goes to funding, great. If we can get 1 more added for the sake of getting more options for our residents, because we do have a strong desire to get EV charging units just where they are located. So I don't know what the feasibility on that would be. Director?
That's something I could certainly look into. I think if we committed to 4, then we could maybe look at see if we could get an extension to some funding to find alternatives to other locations if we went back to community consultation on 2 locations only. I can't commit to that, but I can certainly look into it.
Notice. Thank you, Councillor Chinnis-Lehmann. Any further discussion for, against? A question?
A question. Through you to Councillor Chinnis-Lehmann, you mentioned a conflict in there very quickly. Are you declaring a conflict in this? And if so, I believe we need to vote on a conflict. You can't just sort of slot it in.
I don't live on the street. I live around the street.
Same as Ambrose.
So
It's not a conflict.
And hence why.
Not a conflict.
Sorry, no, not a conflict. I just wanted to sort of say my intimate knowledge is given on the fact that I live around.
Thank you, Councillor Lane and Councillor Chinnis-Lehmann. Any further discussion on this item? No, I will put the motion. All those in favour? Against? That is lost. Do I hear it right?
Can I move a?
Now we move to the foreshadowed motion, which is the amendments to the second recommendation in the business paper that council approves the installation of public EV charging stations at locations 1, 2, 4, 5 and 6.
I accepted Councillor Chinnis-Lehmann's amendment to my foreshadowed.
So it's locations 1, 2, 4 and 5 identified in this report. Thanks, Sarah. Any discussion on this item? Thanks, Councillor Williams.
If we're going to delete items, number 6, which is Manning Road. And we've heard some comments that there would be a suitable location in that vicinity, which there's plenty of parking that's not in front of residences. We put a vision in that we approve 6 to be located in Manning Road at a more suitable location, or do we still have to go through consultation? Because we're going to lose the funding. If we lose the funding, it's never going to happen. So I was just wondering whether we can say that we include 6, but it needs to be revised as to its location.
Perhaps a question then to the director of, it sort of hangs on whether it's feasible to even put EV charging stations at that site further down in Manning Road, I guess. But in the event, say that we can, could that be something that we have time to go to the community and consult with them on, and then form part of the grant funding?
So I could this week go back to ChargePoint and alert them to, if we wanted to move, they would have to go and investigate that alternate location, just make sure that the power poles that are there are sufficient to supply the power that's needed, and then make a decision. If that's feasible, we would then write a letters to the community in that area straight away. So it might be something we could turn around fairly quickly. I think if we were able to put something like that in, that would be good to give confidence that there will be a charge point somewhere in that area.
Thanks, Director. Do the mover and seconder of the foreshadowed motion want to entertain an amendment to recommendation 2 in that respect?
Short answer is yes from my end. We would put to Councillor Williams' comments, happy for 6 to remain in there as an actual address per se, but a change of specific address to be determined. And if we cannot find, if the positioning outside Tarbert Creek doesn't satisfy, then it's off the table.
Could I suggest maybe with the mover and seconder's approval, obviously, but just a suggestion, we could further amend the foreshadowed motion by including a new 3 about assessing the feasibility of a new site.
Can I give you some words?
So you want to propose an amendment to the foreshadowed motion?
Conversation.
Okay. Pardon?
It's now the motion.
It's now the motion on the floor. And a proposed amendment to.
Yep, to address that issue.
Yeah.
Approve the installation of public, this is numbered point 2. Approve the installation of public EV charging stations at locations 1, 2, 4 and 5 identified in this report, and an alternate location on Manning Road. Subject to a feasibility assessment and public consultation.
Yeah, I think that works.
And the general manager will be authorised to approve that location if there's no negative feedback.
Yes.
Correct.
Yep.
Councillor Williams,
Can I just add a little bit to that, because just looking on my phone here.
suggestion
Yes.
to the mover.
The location on Manning Road and or Salter Street,
Or Salter. I agree.
because there's nothing on Salter Street that would be an objection, and it's just around the corner from this location.
Does
So-
the mover,
Yeah, perfect.
mover's okay with that, so we'll include that.
Actually, just on that point, it goes further to my point about density in terms of you then got 4 significant sites out there in terms of apartment dwellings versus the 1 apartment dwelling being the Housing Commission on 4 Manning Road. That's probably a point of distinction, the Salter Road location.
So this is now the motion on
No,
the
sorry.
floor.
Good order. I think we need to amend 3 as well.
Councillor Vergara.
Authorise the general manager under delegated authority to it's approve proceeding with the alternate location and execute authority. Yeah. Don't be approve or decline. I don't want to presuppose?
I personally think it doesn't matter because
Well, only approve them if I didn't-
it
if
would
I-
only
if I
be
didn't
enacted
feedback,
if,
So
Is that,
that's okay. Yeah, I think that's.
or
If it's
I mean, you
negative
could
feedback,
say
I won't approve them, so.
you could say subject to item 2, recommendation 2 at the start of 3, but I don't think it's necessary. Do we agree?
Yeah, what Jeff just mentioned, you could say determine. Determine proceeding with the alternative location. So
Yeah, you
whether I
could do.
determine it one way or the other
proceeding
instead of
with it?
approve. Yeah.
Jeff? Brains trust.
Yeah.
Okay, this is now the motion on the floor. Could I a question, Councillor Lane?
May I ask a question? Yeah,
Sure.
So we're now looking at going to do further consultation on site 6, and we heard from the director that it may be possible to get an extension of funding if we proceed with the majority of the sites. So would the mover like to consider whether or not public consultation on 3 would potentially address the concerns Councillor raised on 3?
I don't think so. I think given the amount of feedback you received last time, it would be more than what is going to be. I imagine Manning Road Salt Road is going to be a truncated process. Given the feedback we received for Ambrose, you'd need to do the whole thing again.
Thank you, Councillor Lane and Councillor Vergara. I'll now put the motion on the floor. All those in favour? Against? That is carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors.
I'll go through that later.
Okay. Moving on to item 8.9, report of legal matters for April 2026. Can I have a mover for this motion? Councillor Williams, seconded Councillor Tanous-Sleeman. Any discussion, councillors? Councillor Lane.
Just to the General Manager, I believe in the last meeting there was a discussion about getting a briefing from the solicitors about the legal matters. Has a date been set for that?
All legal matters?
Just the new emerging.
Not yet, because haven't got that many new and emerging, but I'll get it organised in the next 8 weeks.
Okay, thank you.
I'm trying to stop them mainly.
Yes. Any further discussion, councillors, for, against the report? I will just say, I think it's great to see this list slowly dwindling as the fees billed to date was once quite high. And I think I would echo the GM's comments around the objective to keep these as low as possible going forward. There is one quite high there, actually. Oh, yeah. That's right.
Yep.
Okay. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to item 8.10, development applications determined under delegated authority in April 2026. Can I have a mover for this? Councillor Kassab, and a second to Councillor Tanous-Sleeman. Any discussion, councillors? Councillor Kassab.
Just through you, Chair, it was mentioned last meeting about when there's a refusal for a short description to be put for the reasoning why. But I see that it hasn't been on these ones, so just
Do you want to ask a question to the director?
No, that's okay. Just want to ask that moving forward, if we can have the refusal reason included.
Right. Yeah. That's noted. Thank you, Councillor Kassab. Any further discussion? I'll move the motion be put. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried unanimously. Thank you.
Just on one thing,
Yeah.
the linkages that are included in the report would probably take us to the details that you're after.
Yeah.
So, but if you want them a summary in the report, we can do that.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be anything wrong. It's just,
Cool. If it's a refusal.
Which is a great example of our new, business paper system in action. It resolved. resolving all our problems. Item 8.11, minutes of Bushland Management Advisory Committee meeting held 18 May 2026. Could I please have a mover for this? Councillor Williams, seconded Councillor Tanous-Sleeman. Any discussion, councillors? Or against? No. I will put the motion. All those in favour? Against? That's carried unanimously. That brings us to the end of business.
I ask a question.
Yes, councillor Williams.
We have a standing item on our business paper correspondence.
Yes.
And again, I see in this business paper, we have no reference to correspondence received by the mayor or the general manager. I'm just wondering, have we received any correspondence that relates to the most recent changes which the government has made, which is about community involvement in planning? I think it's about 18 versions of planning approvals that now won't allow any consultation with the community. So if we've received any correspondence from either the minister or the department that could clarify for not only myself, but for the broader community where this is going, there's reference in the newspaper, but I don't have the details. So I'm just wondering, have we received it and why we're not actually getting correspondence in these reports?
General Manager.
I'll just, about whether we received it first, and I'll answer the second part of the question.
I haven't received formal correspondence, but I've been made aware of it through just general planning advice that I get, and I've started to look through that with interest. The submissions, I understand, are due soon, so we will certainly come back to council with some advice on that one in particular, given that there's a lot of information in there around not having to notify on certain applications.
Thanks, Director. Councillor Williams, does that answer your question?
Yes, but are we going to be getting any advice that comes from either the minister or to either the mayor or the general manager?
Yeah, we will be providing advice.
I think it's just the turnover of staff. It's things that are just coming up to speed.
Sure.
Thank you. I believe there's no questions with notice or confidential items.
Nope.
Right. Well, thank you everyone for joining me on this journey of chairing my first council meeting. Hopefully I never have to do that again, but thank you for bearing with me.
7:02, we might have you back again.
I declare the meeting closed at 7:02 p.m. Thank you.